On April 27th, 2022, I bought $40,000 worth of Hedera hash graph. And this was one of my worst trades in terms of buying a coin for a return. Because if you remember, in 2022, the reason this was so bad was because Bitcoin at this same time was pretty much starting its peak bear market. And every single week, every single day, pretty much Bitcoin was going to the toilet. And that was my biggest mistake, because I still thought, because it was my first bull run, that Bitcoin was going to hit 100K, because everybody else on YouTube, even I was saying it, right? But I didn't know any better. We were just pretty much all recycling people's information. And the reason why that was so bad, because, Bitcoin controls the market. And once Bitcoin takes a big dip, it's pretty much GG, game over for altcoins. And that was the scenario. But now, as we know, pretty much everything after Bitcoin started to crash, everything, and I mean everything, started to crash. This was the bear market. And we obviously had to learn a lot of lessons. So if you look at Ethereum, for example, that started to get really bad. Solana would pretty much go to the toilet. Gala Games was the same. And everything was crashing. It took me so long to accept the biggest mistake. Pretty much two big mistakes. One, round tripped it. Number two, buying $40,000 worth of HBAR at 14 cents. And this completely destroyed me. Like, my bag was at $950,000 at the peak to almost pretty much zero. And I was very sad. Like, actually, this was me pretty much every single day for a month, And when I say I didn't want to speak to anybody, I didn't speak to anybody, because the feeling of being rich, in my terms, like $1 million, $950,000, to me, that's rich, man. Like, that is a lot of money to really do what you want. You put that in the S&P, you make 95K per year. If you get averagely of 10% by never touching a principal, you can pretty much do what you want. And I literally felt robbed. It was one of the worst feelings I've ever felt in my life. But I'm grateful of it, because I know, or at least I hope so, I won't go back to this bad intentions. And I just left. Girlfriend was like, hey, you okay? Yeah, I just left. Gym bros, didn't want to speak to them. Dog, mom and dad. This was reality. And I'm telling you this, and I'm being open with you guys, and, showing something here that a lot of people won't show, is because I don't want this to be you. Okay, this really, really is one of the worst situations. Like, I don't know if it was depression. I don't know if it was just because I'm a wuss, but just losing money from having nothing. Now, I made a good bit of money in ecom, absolutely, but to put that all in, to undo all those hard work, grinding, dropshipping stores, to then lose it all, it sucked. It sucked a lot. Now, the beautiful thing is, of course, we are, give or take, 4 years later from that time, and I make this YouTube video, and it's funny how I always kind of pull through what I'm saying. Made this 2023, April 24, and I knew that this would come in handy one day. At the time, it was not looking good, but this is me pretty much showing you buying 50,000 HBAR at a time, pretty much decent in as much as I can at about the 3 to 6 cents. So I'm so fucking grateful that this video is still live to show you the mistakes that I made in this 2021 run, but then coming in to do this again. And again, this was risky. I didn't know HBAR would be at its price today. I can't guarantee what HBAR is going to be at tomorrow, but this was very risky for me to double down on my mistakes. But as we know, it has worked. Okay, now this is not to boast. This is, cut me some slack here, boys. This is to show you that I've done this. I've done what I've said I've done. So current time recording, I have 1.017, so pretty much 1 million HBAR, and it's worth about $180,000, and I'm up $109,000 at the time of recording. Now, this has been a lot higher. When HBAR pretty much ripped from 4 cents to 40 cents, it has been a lot higher. But regardless, I'm finally reaping my rewards in HBAR of $100,000. And it's been tough. I felt all the emotions, but I do not think, when we were watching this video today, that HBAR stops here. Now, the problem with HBAR, okay, it's not all nice and gloom, okay, or it's not all nice and whatever. The problem with HBAR is you're at 17 cents right now. When we were buying this again, after our big mistakes here at 3 to 6, you're pretty much buying, at the time of recording, depending on the 3, that's a 6x, depending on the 6, that's a 3x. Yeah, it's a lot more money to start doing damage in HBAR, but again, I don't want to discredit people or don't want to stop you from investing. I still think you can do damage, but that is just reality, because we've seen HBAR go from the 4 cents, to a 9x, give or take 38, 39 cents. So we've seen that move, and that could absolutely be one of the biggest catalysts, because this really woke up my mind, because I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit panicked, and we have a little bit of pump here at 17 cents, but to go back down to 8, 7, 6, 5, started to panic a little bit. But just seeing this has given me a lot more hope to start talking about HBAR again, because when I was talking about HBAR here, bro, if you remember and you're an OG, nobody fucking cared. And that's okay. There has been better plays. But for me, with the risk/rewards at the 3 cents or 4 cents or 5 cents or 6 cents, it made a lot more sense. And you have to ask yourself at 17 cents, which we're going to get into in a second, does that make sense for you? So I need to say, and I need to make this obvious, okay? Now we should be aware of this. Firstly, it should be obvious to you that you need to be spreading cryptocurrency. You do not want to go 100% in any single coin, okay? Even Bitcoin, in my opinion, yeah, it's fine to do. You will make money, but it's a bad strategy because you're not going to make as much money, right? Obviously, I think it's unlikely there's a chance of HBAR, going to zero or not having a good bull run. Again, what does a good bull run look like? That's what we're really trying to answer on this question. Because if I show you some stats, and some of you guys won't like this, and this is a problem, buying, let's just say, a $5,000 worth of clips at 3 cents, and if we get a price of $1, which I think is achievable, that's $166,000. Now let's just have a little bit of fun and pretend HBAR went to $4. That's $666, $2. Potentially reasonable, but I think one is in the cards. But the problem, if you have $5,000 and you buy at the 17.5, 5K, yeah, it's nice. It's a 6X, give or take, but it's 5 to 28, 5 to 30, 6X, 5X, whatever. And that's the problem, because your entries at 0.3s, 0.4s, you can see how much it goes down. Just look at that. 0.3, okay, $5,000, you get 166. You double it, get 83. It's still a great amount of money, but we are at 17. Okay, and for the guys that bought a 39 at that local top there in November, December, you're struggling. That's struggling, because now you're in the red if you bought that. Plus, to get to $1, which would be a great amount for HBAR, I say only, but you're turning 5 to 12. It's not that great. And I get that, but this is the problem with flip-flopping. You want to buy when it's hot. You want to sell when it's not. You want to buy, okay? You want to buy when it's not hot and sell when it's hot. So again, this is a problem with HBAR right now, because it is not going to go to $10. It's not going to go to $20. It's not going to go to $100. So that is something you need to ask yourself. Does it make sense? And I'll talk about that at the end. Now, a lot of people ask me why HBAR, why have I been doing HBAR for so long? Well, DeFi Llama is a great source for me. If you just look at the DEX volume, okay, if you start turning on these little nuggets, you can see, in 24 had great, and look at 2025. So this means the chain is being more used. Think about it like this. If you add value to a real estate property, you'll get higher rents. If you buy a fixer-upper, you put tenants in, you'll get higher rates. So there's a lot of value being added on HBAR's network. If you look at chain fees, okay, this would equal growth. Look at all this fees coming in 25. We never had this before, okay? That's another great reason. The third reason, I guess you could say, is the partnerships. We spoke about this, all the HBAR little bulls speak about this, but the HBAR bulls on YouTube, they never show their fucking portfolios, do they? They've probably got $500 in. They're not in like we've been in for fucking ages, for 5 years now, okay? With over 1 million coins, buying when it's shit, buying when it's hot, completely fucking it up, but now being over 100 grand. Okay, but it's fine. It's YouTube, I get it. People like to do and lie on YouTube for views, and that's fine. But anyways, partnerships. Best in the business, man. Again, it's boring news. We've literally spoke about this for 5 years. Like that's the reality. But they're still here. You've got Google, you've got Dell, you've got LG, you've got Boeing, you've got the best in the business. And yeah, it's just great all term. We know they're scalable, how cheap they are, how eco-friendly they are, and how much it costs. We all know these numbers, okay? But what I can tell you, which is the biggest catalyst for me, is the max supply. This is something a lot of people don't understand. Max supply basically means demand plus fixed supply equals exponential gains. So if you have a max supply and a great project like we've just showed you there in DeFi Llama and all their partnerships, okay, that brings in your demand. But if there's 5 trillion coins and infinite supply, which means they can just print tokens. So I don't like some of these coins, although you have to in some coins like gaming, etc. It is a game. But if you can get a fixed supply coin with the boxes being ticked like we just spoke about there, it's usually a great sign for exponential growth. Now, back in 22 and 23, we had much less coins coming out in the market. Pretty much every single 3 to 4 months, there was coins being dumped to the market. And that was, that was part of the plan since day one. They already said that. But the problem why the price was suppressed was basically 2 reasons. Number one, it was a bear market. You're going to struggle. Number two was because all the team members, etc., and not the founders, the kind of guys, that developers were getting paid in HBAR, they were taking a big bet. They finally got the chance to take profit. And they should take profit because they need money. If they were being paid in HBAR and they're finally being allocated to them, they got to pay bills. But obviously that plus a bear market is going to make the price struggle. But here's the kicker. We're now less than 8 billion coins being fully out. Okay. So it's 42 billion circulation. There's only ever going to be a max supply of 50. And that is great news combined with the bull market. So I have got 1 million HBAR coins. Should you buy $5,000 worth, $500 of HBAR? Well, you should have bought in 23 and 23. Well, you should have bought in 22 and 23 and 24. So I can't tell you what to do right now. 17 cents. I mean, it just depends. If you're happy with 4x, if it goes to $1, yeah, I would buy it. But if you're not happy with that and you're looking for the 10, 20x, probably not going to get in this bull run with HBAR. So that's what you need to ask yourself. And that's being me honest with you guys. I can't make a video anymore and say HBAR is going to $10 in this bull run because that's only going to get you wrecked. We've been there, we've done that. So I've got to be realistic with my price predictions for HBAR. I do think it hits $1, might hit 2, but you're going to be very, very hard to go past that level, depending on how well Bitcoin could do, of course. We don't know that yet. But yeah, if I was looking at HBAR, I would DCA, I would buy, because we still could go downwards in the market. We could still chill. But once it starts heating up again to the 40 to the 50 cents, it's not worth it, in my opinion. Look somewhere else, because you're not going to make the return that you probably want. And if you do, what you're going to do is round trip it, because you're going to hold the bag too long, and that bear market will kick in, and these altcoins will get absolutely wrecked. So let me know your thoughts on HBAR. You still a believer? What are you doing with it? And I'll see you in the next video. God bless. Goodbye.